You guys, welcome to the first week, a full week, I guess, of the year. We have the perfect person here today to do our pop culture roundup. I use these shows as an excuse to catch up with old friends. But when an old friend actually meets with like one of the best minds in pop culture, entertainment news, crime news, like literally just runs the gamut, her account. She is one of the most trustworthy sources that you could just find literally about anything on her Instagram, on her YouTube. 2023, I think, is going to be an insane year for her. But I got so excited just with the thought when she said yes of just talking with her. We could shoot the shit about anything, but I'm just so glad we have so much to talk about. Kiki, Monique, the talk of shame. Welcome back to So Bad It's Good.
I'm so happy to be back. I love being here.
Wow, look at the voice you've got on already. And you've got a fancier microphone than me. Look at all the green. Like it looks like a UFO or something. That's amazing.
You know, I'm trying to step up my game. Like the first time I did your pod, I had broken headphones. That was all I had.
And it was still amazing. It's still amazing. You're still amazing, but you sound buttery right now. So this has been a hell of a week. I want to get into you, but let's rip a Band-Aid off just so we can just show the audience where we're going here. Is that we had the duo Thursday and Friday of Lisa Rinna announcing a mutual decision by Bravo to not come back to Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. And then the next day we had Jen Shah being sentenced. Your account on Instagram covers things so like you made a shift, and we've talked about it before, where you came from a humorous angle, and I still think you're insanely humorous, but now you present things like I go to your account to learn about things. And it was no different with both of these stories. How are you holding up over the last couple of days?
It actually felt really good because ever since the, Johnny Depp and Amber Heard trial has ended, I have felt like a little bit like I'm missing something because it really grounded me. 6 weeks of just like every day talking and having to report on that trial, it just put me in a different mindset, and I kind of missed that. So it was nice to.
But it was so dark too, right? Didn't it get dark towards the end?
It was absolutely super dark, but like that's the thing. It was like dark comedy, because like dark comedy can still be dark, but have these moments of like, you have your Isaac witnesses and just things like that. So I still enjoyed it from just being able to hear all of the details that we would never hear in any other circumstances of rich and famous people. Because at the end of the day, we just want to know what rich and famous people are doing behind closed doors, because we know they're up to no good, but they like put on this front now, and like we're just like, no, we want the dirty details.
And I think we get the sense even with reality shows now is that we are not seeing so much of what actually happens. I mean, you would even throw it to Heather Gay's Black Eye. Like they're purposely hiding things from us, the audience, even in reality TV. And with celebrities, it even goes more insane. And that's why the Jen Shah stuff was fascinating for me, is because with these court documents, we as pop culture fanatics are starting to have to learn how to read affidavits, read between the lines. I'm judging a defense lawyer going, oh, that's a horrible opening statement. Somebody that graduated from Arizona State University. I mean, what were your thoughts going into the trial that morning? And by the way, if I wasn't mistaken, when she originally was going to fight these charges, when she said she was still innocent, weren't you going to go down there for a bit in New York?
Oh yeah, I had absolutely planned to just be in New York, and I said like I'll just like crash on my friend's couch and I will go every day and report on this trial. And then she's in New York, and then all of a sudden she just decides to plea, and so everyone's scrambling like, oh well, now we have she's going to plea out. And so we didn't have to go to a trial, and now we just have to like go to her sentencing, which you think is just going to be sort of run-of-the-mill sentencing, but even the sentencing turned into like crazy drama.
Well, I mean, the judge opening salvo talks about, well, I see the courtroom's full today. I guess that's because of the reality star in the room. And I want to make it known that I realize there's a separation between reality show Jen Shah and the Jen Shah we see before us today, which is like, dude, wake the I already was like, dude, wake the F up. Are you kidding me? Did that seem a little wonky to you, that opening statement from the judge?
It's not wonky, but it's always like whoa moment when you realize there are people in this world who are like have no idea who this woman is and do not care, but like they see the following she has and they're just kind of like confused by it, and we're just confused like, how do you not know this woman?
But to also accept the fact that like I don't like it on behalf of me being protective of Bravo, of like, yo, I know we don't see a lot, but this is still reality. This isn't just, she didn't just happen upon this character of Jen Shah, even in the court papers from like 2019, which got revealed this week in regards to her going across state lines to Las Vegas, Nevada to mess with that girl who she was cheating allegedly on the husband with and sent text messages. I was like, this Jen has been this way for a while. It's not like the show made her into this character.
Absolutely. And it's like, in the beginning, when all of these things would come out about a lot of the, the Eric and James, we're all like, are these producers doing background checks? What are they doing? And I'm thinking, well, yeah, they absolutely are. And they're seeing this and they're like, ooh, when this comes out, this is going to make our season. Like they don't care. Cause at the end of the day, they just want to produce anything. Right. So, I mean, I would leave it in too, if I knew she had a restraining order.
I love that. We have a possible financial crime. Sign her to a 3-year deal immediately. Get her signed. I just think it's getting wilder and wilder, so much so that we can't get it to the pack where we normalize this, where we're disappointed if there's no major crime on a season of Housewives.
Well, and that's my fear for the Housewives, because I feel like this may be the beginning of the end in a sense, because, we already have housewives coming on who are flushing their social media feeds before that happens. So we're losing that element, because that used to be a thing we could do when we got a new housewife, go through all their social media. Now they're cleaning it up before they're even casting. So that's not as fun. And so now we're relying on like, okay, like what are their lives like? And look, I know for a fact there are women I know who have had to turn down. They've been asked to be on Housewives and their husbands are like, nope. And because their husbands know, because it's like, if it's not a divorce, it's going to be digging into my money. It's going to be something. And so what does that leave us with? Like the most boring housewives in the world? I don't want to watch that.
Well, I have to imagine, though, is that like we started with these complicated women's lives on like Orange County and all of these other shows. And back then it sufficed. I just feel like, have we gotten to a point of almost like steroid housewives, where it's like housewives that have watched 10 years of Housewives. So they're throwing everything against the wall like Jen Shah. And then on top of it, they are financially set up because of possible criminal endeavors. And the mix of those two, the intersection of that, really causes for some kind of like just mutant housewife.
Well, that's the thing too. I just watched Tar, which is a great movie, by the way. And there was,
is it as good as everybody says?
Oh, it's so good. Go. It's so
Kate
good.
Blanchett, you guys.
Oh, she is amazing. And there's this line where she says, hope is the last thing to die. And so you almost wonder, like, if you're going to get, like you said, this mutant housewife, because let's say you have been like struggling, you're maxed out on your credit cards, and you know that if you can just get one product on Bravo that can change your life, you might be willing to sacrifice all, you might have shady shit happening. You're willing to sacrifice it all because you're like, if I can just get to the golden promised land of Bravo taking their 10% and me becoming a household name, I can make it. So,
That's why I'm scared for Rinna Wine right now. Rinna Wine was supposed to launch this season. They did an episode on Beverly Hills with Lisa Rinna having the taste test of Rinna Wine. And now we're not going to have a show to promote Rinna Wine. So will Rinna Wine die on the vine? How will this be sold for Lisa Rinna?
Rinna has been on for 8 seasons, and regardless of what you think, I mean, look, at the end of the day, she has given us some of the most iconic moments, right? And so she has a following.
Thank you for your service. Thank you for your service.
And so she has a following. So even if she's not on the show to promote, she already has gotten that guaranteed money from those people who will buy now, especially now that she's not on the show. They'll buy it just to support her.
Yeah. Well, I'm not going to be one of those people, but if somebody buys me a bottle, I'm happy to get hammered on it. I will fully get hammered on it. Back to the Jen Shah stuff. She got sentenced to 6.5 years, 5 years, then supervised release after that. Did you think this was the sentence that was going to come out for her? Or
I wasn't surprised by it. Once she pled out, it was like she pled to one charge. They kept saying like, 30 years. But I was like, there's no way she would plead out if she was going to get 30 years. So once it was around the 10-year mark, I was like, okay, that sounds about right. And I knew it would be somewhere towards, I thought, like the higher end between 5 and 10. And I said at the beginning when I was looking, it was coming out, I was like, I think it'll be 6. When I heard one of her underlings got 6.5, though, I was like, maybe she'll get 8. But, she also had better attorneys probably than, because they even said in the sentencing, like her underlings were drug addicted. They probably had public defenders and, who knows.
That's what I'm saying. I mean, it pays to almost have this family with coach and your sons by your side coming in with 30 letters written for you to the judge. There was a lot of family support behind. I thought it was very interesting to have the word elders keep getting used on behalf of Jen, of like, you know, she comes from a land of elders and now the elders are teaching her. And I'm like, the elders you stole from? Like,
Yeah.
we're using the elder word way too much for somebody that stole from elders.
Yeah, respect your elders. You were stealing their life savings. They like had heart attacks and died because
did you
of like
see some of those victim impact statements?
Yes, it was terrible. I mean, so respect your elders. Yeah, like let's cool it out. Which is why I think Inner City Press was trying to get that redacted statement, because like we want to know exactly what you were saying to try to get your little 3-year sentence.
Will you explain to the people what you just said about the redacted statement?
So basically there was, a statement issued where she was trying to argue why she should get a 3-year sentence, and Inner City Press wanted, public information. I want to see what you put in here to try to argue why you think you only deserve 3 years. Well, they redacted like 90% of this document. So Inner City Press filed the courts. They were like, we want to see the unredacted version. And they were going to rule on it during the sentencing. They did rule on it at the end. They said, I think they'll redact it on Monday, but that's of course after all of this has already happened.
Do you mean unredacted on Monday?
I mean unredacted. I think we'll get to see the unredacted version on Monday, I believe.
Is it true that her defender argued that this will cause irreparable damage to Jen Shaw? And I was like, even after what's already happened, like worse than this? Like what could possibly be worse than this?
Exactly.
I mean, I was like, is it more about the cheating allegations? Is it more about like, what is it? Is it about Coach's anal glands that he had an issue with, that he used as an excuse last season?
Did she throw, Bravo under the bus, saying some stuff that was in the NDA that she that could harm her contract or some way?
I keep thinking about Bravo and all of this, thinking like she said, she made a point of saying she is still on the cast of Real Housewives. And the judge asked, like, currently, and she said yes, she agreed. So my thought was like, does that mean Andy gets the first interview? And also I get that vibe that Andy doesn't want the interview, even though he knows he has to take it because it's still a news story. Do you get that vibe at all?
Why would he not want? What gave you that vibe that he wouldn't want?
I get the vibe when he was talking about Jen at BravoCon, and since I feel like since she basically took an entire season of Salt Lake to proclaim her innocence. Mm-hmm. And then all of a sudden they're doing a needle drop on the last episode going, hey, by the way, and then we already see an excuse starting to form in the preview for this week where she's like, that Stuart threw me under the bus. I was manipulated by Stu. You saw how I bossed him around, but in essence, he screwed me. And I'm like, how are we supposed? And Meredith and Heather ride or dies. And I will never want to hear that word or phrase again.
Oh my God.
But that's the thing that I just kind of wonder, is that I think at a certain point, it's hard for Bravo and Andy to defend somebody that they've been lied to so much as well. Like, yeah. I wonder if that plays into it at all.
I mean, I think so, but also it's, it is a sticky situation for them because people are like, probably like, don't put any more money in her pockets. Here's my thing. She has now been, she's sentenced to prison. So now let her earn her money so that she can pay this $6 million restitution, which she still has to pay.
Yes. I said, like, even the government, like, I would have paid $20 to watch Friday's thing. I would PayPal directly to the victims. I would like give a chance for these victims, because by the time she is out, like, these are elderly people as well. They don't have forever.
No.
And she's agreed, if I'm not mistaken, to $9 million in restitution, or was it $6 million?
Is there more? Because I saw the 6. I thought it was 6.6 million, but you could be.
Maybe it was 6.6, and then so that means she has that, or will promise to have that.
Yeah.
Then we found out in papers that Coach Shaw this past year made $721,000 with bonuses for an assistant coach, like a really big coach on Utah's football team. They just played in the Rose Bowl. And I'm like, he's making $721,000 and you're stealing at all? Like, that's a lot of money.
And, they're going to end up probably putting, some sort of lien on, they are married. It's community property. And like, I remember there was one judgment with the whole Erica Jane situation. Like, they can take some of her salary for like part of this judgment, not all of the judgment. It was like one judgment. And I think it was for the, maybe the Pacific gas. I think it was related to that. But, these victims could say like, okay, he's the only one earning right now because she's going to be locked up for 6.5 years. So we need to be able to garnish Coach's wages, at least, 10% or 20% or, however.
I was kind of thinking too, like if they are a united front at this point, which we still don't fully know if they are, I'm sure Coach is going through his own things. And Coach was mentioned in the text messages that were part of the prosecution's paperwork for the sentencing memo, was that said, hey, Coach will coach you through what to say to these people. So he was kind of named, but I don't know if anything is going to come of that or if they're even seeking anything against Coach Shaw. But I think he should. I would think it would be known that like, yeah, I'm going to get a really tiny shotgun shack and start paying from my salary because that's a lot of money.
If I were him, I'd probably look into just, if I get a divorce, can I be exempt from some of these like things? Because
what does Cuba look like this time of year? Yeah. Did you find it interesting too that it is part of Jen Shaw's statement, which I thought, theater kids are going to be using this as a monologue to audition for years to come. Like I and the world, you and the world know me as Jen Shaw. But like, I was like, what an opening. Like you were just like, this is something Aaron Sorkin would eat up. Like it was so, but she brought up the fact that her manager was here in the court. Mm-hmm. And you guys, that means an entertainment manager, not just like a life coach. But I was like, do you? And then the judge even was like, hey, I'm kind of concerned that your client said the thing about the manager. You can't make money off of this. Does that mean she can't write a book?
Well, that was the thing. Like I had seen someone say that the judge shot down the book because you can't profit. But again, if the book has been all profits are promised to the victims, why does it matter? Like, don't we want this?
Yes, I would hope they would let. If not, I would just like maybe just make a book about like cooking like Teresa did, but then just put in some crap about the victims and like give that to the victims. But I just get scared that, I don't get scared. I don't have to worry about this, but do you think she even thinks she's guilty still?
I think that she is still blaming other people. And I think that she will spend a lot of alone time in prison. And, she can't convert to Muslim because as most prisoners do, she's already Muslim. So that won't happen, but maybe she will just go through some, yoga meditation. I don't know. Supposedly this Texas facility she's going to is the same facility that Elizabeth Holmes.
That's what I was going to, so is that true? Because I was like, we got to keep these girls away from each other because Elizabeth is like, Jen's like, let me sell you on something. Like by the time they're both out, like we're going to get that blood thing again. And Jen's like, no, I can sell it. I can totally sell it. Just trust me. It's scary.
Well, this is the thing. Prisons are already a for-profit business. My whole thing is like you just said, like, let's just make the whole thing for profit. Let's make it from being able to see the trial and let's be able to see her and Elizabeth Holmes, roommates. This is a new Three's Company or whatever roomies like.
Put a CCTV camera or the camera you have. I'll treat it like Big Brother 24 hours a day. And I just get to watch,
late night cam. I sit there like in 3 a.m. in the dark, looking at the Big Brother cam, like a weirdo while they're sleeping. I watch them sleep. I would do the same for two prisoners.
Don't be concerned that somebody won't watch it. Somebody will watch it.
Oh yeah,
trust
absolutely.
me, somebody will watch it.
Look, prison talk is one of my favorite talks.
And wait, Kiki, that's what I've told the audience before. If you get on TikTok enough, you will eventually find your way to prison TikTok. And like, I gotta tell you, it doesn't look like they're finding a way. Like life finds a way.
Oh yeah.
Like they built one of the best breakfast sandwiches I've ever seen in my life in prison.
Oh, well, the food alone makes me not want to go to prison, but I'm always intrigued by like what their version of like ramen is or,
Did you ever watch that Netflix reality series Jailbirds? It was out like 3 or 4 years ago, but they would send kites through the toilet. Kites were like love letters because they were in a male and female facility. And you would like, people would get girlfriends by just wherever your letter landed. You'd be like, you're my girlfriend now. And they would talk through the toilet, which is just my dream way of communication in so many ways. Do you think I spoke with a prisoner on here about a month and a half ago, and she was in there for 3 years, I believe. And she walked me through. It was a minimum security prison. And listen, she said, yeah, of course, it's prison. It's tough and all this stuff. But at the same time, if she got a girlfriend, she got a boo in prison. And she's like, we colored each other's hair. You could buy this, you could buy that. The COs were sometimes great, would let you lay out. Sometimes they were mean, but it was like they would celebrate each other's birthday. They found a way to still do all. And I'm like, Jen might really thrive.
She will thrive, because here's the thing. When you have been living a life that is false for so long and it's building up, the reason she has so much anxiety is because she's been living this lie for so long. And now it's all out. I'm sorry, there has to be a release that comes with it. And now you've been reduced to nothing, right? And all you can do is just live your life and make the best of it. I actually think this will be the best thing that happens for her. It's so weird.
Well, speaking of relief, she definitely felt relief on Friday night because she celebrated, you guys. Page 6 reports Jen Shah celebrates sentencing with lavish Italian dinner party for 20. She was at the New York hotspot Valbella at the park in Midtown later that night on Friday. And she had 2 bodyguards around the table blocking anyone from taking pictures. But supposedly this is a fancy place. Were you surprised to hear that she was celebrating at a hotspot in New York?
No, I was out and I was drunk that night, and I went live because everyone started posting about it, all the Bravo accounts, and they were very angry about it. And I was the only one who I was like, why are y'all angry? She is literally never going to see New York again until 2030. It is her last night in New York. Like that song says, you better dance, dance, dance like it's the last night of your life. Like, I'm sorry. There comes a point where we have sat on her neck, as we should, because she was doing illegal things. And now we've taken it all the way to the end. She has been sentenced. She is going to prison. Are we going to just like punish her till she dies? She's been punished.
Yeah, yes.
Let her
100%. Yes.
Let her go have dinner. We don't even know who was paying for it. And if she wasn't paying for it, who cares?
Yeah, by the way, she scammed somebody for that dinner. It's not coming out of her pocket. Are you kidding me? She's one of the best there is. Like, there's no way she paid for that.
The minute I got a sentence for 6.5 years, I would be drinking tequila in the Uber onto whatever way we were going. Right?
Did you watch Love After Lockup this season?
I didn't watch the season, but I do want to start.
Oh my God. This past week, I don't remember their names like that well on any of the TLC shows because it's just too tragic for me to remember. But one of this guy gets out. He has this, like his prison, like this girlfriend he got through prison. They go out for their first meal and he goes to this nice fancy restaurant. It's like a $600 meal. He makes her pay. I mean, of course he doesn't have money, but then he had his brother bring his $30,000 Cartier watch and he's like wearing it. And then he's like, he's feeling good because he had champagne. He's like, let's go to the casino. Let's do it. Let's go. And she's like, no, that's how you got in there. He's like, you don't want me to have fun? And she's after she paid $600 for the dinner, lobster, crab legs, everything.
Well, she's tripping.
Yeah, she's tripping. So Jen Shah, it'll be really interesting to see. I mean, I'm just curious if Bravo will have it. I mean, the season comes to an end this week, which I wasn't expecting. The reunion, there doesn't seem to be high hopes for many reasons. I felt the Heather Gay of it all, which you've been following. Did you have any opinions on the black eye? I just thought it was kind of just weak all across the board of, I don't know about any of the rumors that I keep hearing on Dumois about like production, but I don't know. It just seemed weird.
Yeah, I think that people made a bad decision and they didn't realize that the audience was going to turn on them. And we did, because we're like, this is stupid. And that rumor about, production, I feel like maybe production is trying to throw themselves under the bus so that Heather can be still like the popular housewife that she was, because they're like, we have to save this franchise. And she's like, and now people hate her.
Everybody hates everybody on this show. Like,
everybody hates everybody.
It's by default, Jen almost looks once again okay on this season. It's not like because she really, Dana called her out on something, about the informant at the dinner table on the episode this week. And immediately Jen defaults to crying or anger. And then she gets herself out of that. And then all of a sudden somebody else gets brought into the conversation. And even Heather talked about like, yo, just bring up my eye. We'll get him off that topic. And I'm like, don't self-produce and don't put your self-producing brain on this show.
That scene infuriated me so much. I literally was like going to throw my TV out the window.
Just the spanking of the ass. And I was like, that is cringy as hell. Could you imagine?
So cringy. Like I was like, who are these? No, yeah. Everything about this season was just like pissing me off. And surprisingly, it wasn't really Jen that was doing it.
But that's what I'm saying. 2 seasons in a row, Jen has escaped. Like every season, I've been like, "What a dummy being on this show," and then I'm like, she ends up not looking bad by default. And then I'm like starting to love Lisa Barlow, and that's weird. Like
I
there's
know.
so many weird feelings I have about this. It's like a David Lynch season. I don't understand anything.
It's so weird. It's so weird. But that, you know what? The part about Housewives I do love is when I just start loving people, because even with Potomac, I'm loving Candace, and I'm like, where am I? I'm in the Twilight
Me
Zone.
too. I'm fully Team Candace and Chris now. I'm
yes.
like, how many times are you going to say Chris is flirting with people, and how many times are we going to see video proof of him not flirting with people and being disinterested?
I mean, but at least in that instance, I will say with production edits, it's making it such a good season for just those reasons.
Yeah, but to like be Chris, that must be kind of like intense to go through, like in terms of like, oh shit, they're gunning for me.
Well, yeah, because and also this was filmed months ago, so it's sort of like a surprise that it's like kind of like they're seeing it, you know, now, and like they're just like, what is happening? Like that is not the situation that happened months ago when we filmed, and now you're trying to make a storyline, and weird.
I've been on record about not loving Candace in previous seasons, but I have to like, I do love the flexibility that Bravo fans have of like, you can change your mind. You can go like, well, this season I kind of see where she's coming from and I respect her a little bit more. The last night of BravoCon, I've also told the audience too, was that I was in a place where there's like 40 or 50 of us, a lot of Bravo Lebs, and Chris and Candace were in the corner by themselves, and they both had their legs kicked up, and they were like canoodling, and it was the sweet. I was like, oh shit, this is like a real relationship. This wasn't like they were far away from any of us. Like we were all like, and they were just like, he had his arm around her, he was kissing her top of her head, and she was like, it just seemed really sweet. And to kind of be a creep and like try to like spy on that moment, but that moment was like, oh, that's really nice. That seems like a very real relationship.
Well, and that's why to me it was so evident that Ashley was really thirsty. She's mad that Michael was such a perv, and she's going to try anything to make Candace's relationship look as nasty as hers did when it doesn't exist. But she's going to create like doubt in any way she can, because she's so just annoyed with her own husband who nobody likes.
What do you think about Ashley and Luke breaking up, supposedly, which happened this week? Ashley unfollowed Luke, and you know, Luke's birthday was last week. Ashley's birthday is, I think, today. Like, you know, and we all got, guys, we all like, we might have screwed that up for them ourselves because we got so damn excited about it. What did you think?
I was like, I knew that was never gonna it's Luke.
I know.
Like, I was like,
oh, please don't say like he probably like said this. Like I said, like, you know, he's like so good looking that he's not like cool. Like he probably said something like potentially kind of like, and Ashley was like, what? Like, I don't know. You know, like, I don't know. Like it just, and then compared to Michael Darby, like Michael Darby probably, you know, he's cocky enough where he says bullshit that like by his looks, he shouldn't have the confidence to say, but he still says it. And that could be attractive. And Luke doesn't have the gift of gab in that sense.
Okay.
You're like, okay. Well, he's like, let me pour maple syrup all over your body, girl. Like,
well, we know, like when you're just like sometimes too good looking, like, you know, you lack sometimes in, you know, communication because you haven't had
Kiki, I deal with it every day of my life. You don't think I would give back these looks in a second if I could communicate. I really, what did you think about Rinna being the mutual decision? I predicted this, but I was still completely shocked that they came to a mutual decision, which I think was very kind on Bravo's part to let her put that statement out. What were your feelings and thoughts when you first heard?
I was absolutely shocked because one thing you don't mess with is the money, and Real Housewives of Beverly Hills was profitable. It was making money. I don't know why you would switch up the cast. I mean, Diana could go, and even, you know, Cherie could go because they didn't bring anything for me last season.
Who's Cherie?
Exactly. Will Smith's ex-wife. Exactly.
Wait, I thought her name was something. I thought her name was Cherie.
I thought it was Cherie.
I'm sure you're right. I've blocked out a lot of Beverly Hills this season.
Well, that's what I'm saying, but you don't even remember her. So it's like the two of them could easily go. I would not miss them. But I thought for sure, Rinna, like you just keep the ones that, I don't know, make the money. So I was shocked.
But my when I thought about it for a little bit more, I kind of thought about like that night we had went live about remember that thing about the Patrick
Oh,
Summers
yeah.
guy that like was, and it kind of turned out, I think Rinna was up in a lot of Bravo Instagrammers things like planning stories about
Yes.
Hattie and all. I think in a sense that stuff really didn't help Rinna. And I think this, like at the end, she even brought production saying, well, maybe production bought the box. Maybe they did it. And I'm
That's
like, you don't
true.
point the finger back to your boss. Her behavior at BravoCon, her behavior on the reunion, and her imitating herself for 3 seasons in a row, I think finally led to a point of like a make or break of like, listen, we're going to have to rebuild at a certain point. Maybe we do it now where we can keep Erica. We can get a different perspective and view of Erica, seeing how she fits in with the group now, because that'll be interesting to see.
Yeah.
And maybe Rinna had reached that moment of how much, because I just felt like it was an imitation of herself the last 2 seasons.
No, you're totally right, because that's the thing. If Rinna and Erica had been on the show together, they would have kept that same dynamic, and it literally would have just been nobody wants this. We don't need any more of that. We get it. You guys are thick as thieves. You are not going to, you know. So and look, Erica was one of my favorite housewives in the beginning. And so I do want to see what her dynamic will be without her. I mean, if Brandi Glanville does come back, which is like the rumored, it's clear that she's already sticking up for Lisa Rinna online, because, you know, Lisa Vanderpump, when it was found out that Lisa was not coming back.
Yeah. Ding dong.
And so then Brandi stuck up for her, you know, on another tweet. And so it's clear there will be maybe an alliance with that, which I don't know, it'll be interesting.
Yeah, I mean, I like shakeups in a certain, and do I think Beverly Hills is going to be as good without Rinna? Probably not for a season, but listen, I watch a lot of shit. Like I watch a lot of bad TV. So like, it's probably still going to be okay. These people know what they're doing. And I think hopefully with this change, it gets like everybody like paying attention, like everybody interested in making a good show again, or everybody interested in seeing like where are you digging Miami this season?
I haven't watched. I was really into the first season, but I haven't watched. But I did watch like a couple episodes, but I haven't watched them as consistently. I'll be honest.
You got it. Well, anyways, I wanted to read you. Harry Hamlin says wife Lisa Rinna made the right decision to leave Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. She elevated the show. Harry says he says it was the correct decision, the right decision to make at this point after 8 years. I think she took it as far as she could take it, and she elevated the show. Now it's time to move on. 8 years is a long time to do anything. The same thing over and over again. Harry said from his tent solo camping trip in the Appalachians. No, I just think at this point, like, of course Harry's going to say that. Did she elevate the show? I mean, in the sense of like, she did a lot of wild shit on the show, so like she really made that show good in certain seasons.
Well, I would say like next to Nene, she's probably one of the most memeable, or at least like, you know, we use her scenes and we use her lines a lot. So I think in that respect, she, you know, brings it.
Yeah, no, and I just worry about Harry. You know, Harry's just alone in his secret garden a lot of the times. And I'm just like, now it's going to be full-time Rinna. Like, he's just like, let's get her working. Let's get her out there. I can't be alone with her like 24/7. I worry about Harry.
Well, I just think she's going to be spending a lot of time just now traveling with her daughters, because now that her daughters are, you know, big old supermodels, she's like, well, I'll just be, you know, stage mom, but like,
let's all shave our eyebrows together.
Or she'll just be like more like the third sister. She just wants to be on the road. She doesn't have to, you know.
Yeah, wait, she's going to be up in Drake's DMs, you know.
Totally.
I'm excited to see what happened. Like, where does she go from now? I'm hoping it's not immediate podcast. Because I was like, are you going to do like a rewatch of Beverly Hills podcast because of Bethany Frankel and all that stuff? Speaking of Bethany Frankel, I was getting annoyed watching some of her opinions on Harry's book, Spare and the Royals, which I know you've covered a little bit, but also was it New Year's? I was watching you do caviar bumps. You tried some caviar. Was that because of that TikTok Danielle girl? Was that because of you? Like, what is the caviar fascination all the time?
I really, ever since Kathy brought up that she has caviar potatoes, I was like, I want to have caviar potatoes. So I was like, well, New Year's Eve is what better night to do? Or was it New Year's Eve? Or it was Christmas.
It was New Year's
Eve.
Day, I think. Wasn't it?
I thought it was Christmas. I was thinking it was Christmas Eve.
I don't know.
Either way. But I was like, what better time to do? Yeah, caviar potatoes. And so I just made them.
Was it amazing?
So good.
So caviar is really, it's not.
Yeah.
Just
And I mean, I got just like caviar from like, Whole Foods. It wasn't even like the fanciest. And I'm like,
oh,
I
I'm
really
on
want
caviar
really good.
TikTok right now. And
Oh,
that's how they all
really?
get it from like, they're all getting it from Whole Foods, and they put them on Dorito chips with a little creme
Oh,
fraiche.
interesting.
Yeah. And I was like, that's kind of cool. So yeah, I just wanted to do the caviar detour really quick. Speaking of the Royals, though, Harry's book, which has been leaked in Spain this past week, so we've seen a lot of the book already, will come out, I believe, on Tuesday. I think he's on 60 Minutes Tonight with Anderson Cooper. What is your overall view of the Harry and Meghan kind of press assault over the last couple of months with the Netflix series and now the book?
It's like crazy because look, I will preface this with I love Harry and Meghan, and it's going to be really hard for me to not love Harry and Meghan.
And they're really in love. You can tell that.
They're really in love. Netflix doc, I thought was amazing. I thought it was exactly what they needed because there were certain aspects of the story that I feel like I didn't know, especially not being in the UK. UK saw a lot more than the United States citizens did, and so I felt like I got to see a lot more. And I love the Netflix doc. Then it's like, okay, Harry has his book coming out. Okay, well, this is like a little more okay. Then I hear like Meghan might have a book coming out, and I'm like, oh God, I don't want them to lose their goodwill or like how I feel about
space it out. I was like, let's space it out. Because the Harry, I was like, no, let's do this in April. Let's do it in April. We'll take some time with the Netflix stuff, and then go in April. We'll read your book. It just feels like so much right now.
It is, but the problem is what I keep thinking is like, well, they already have probably cashed the check and bought the house. They have to, they've made
Tyler's like, well, you're not coming back to our place. Tyler Perry did not let them come back.
And I think there's certain commitments that they've already made. And so that's why it feels like a lot. And then somebody said to me the other day, and it made me kind of like think, I was like, okay, let me reset then. Cause I was like, I'm going to get annoyed with them. And they were kind of like, look, think about how many years he had to put up with this of like stories about him. He's just like, let him just like get it out for as long as he wants. It's his story. It's his right. And I was kind of like, you know what? All right, let him just like word vomit over everything. I'm still going to love them. And hopefully it doesn't go too far. And hopefully him and his father can make amends. And
but the Royals have always been shrouded in secrecy. So it's almost like that thing of like, you don't do this. And he knows what a big deal this is. But I mean, it gets petty, you guys. He even says comments on his brother's hair loss and says it is astounding. And I'm like, damn, dude, damn.
Which is like so funny. It's like this is the stuff we live for though, right? Because like we do want to hear you talk shit about your brother's hairline. Because
but also like, Harry, look at your hairline, bro. I can see through every piece of your hair. Like listen, I appreciate you're fighting the good fight, but like, dude, it's going to happen eventually to you as well. But that's in there. His story of how he lost his virginity is in there. I mean, his service with the military and like, he admits to taking the lives of 25 Taliban, I believe, or like
getting like a frostbitten penis at like Kate and William's wedding.
I was like, dude, you don't like. I was like, at a certain point, like, somebody wrote on Twitter today was like, he's kind of like a more posh Chet Hanks now, like after all the revelations this week.
No, my God, my two boos. I love it.
Are we?
Do we learn if he's circumcised or not? I mean, did we get that level? It feels like we would.
Chapter 2, he's like, my huge uncircumcised dong I call him Little Harry. No, I think like at a certain point, like the air of mystery, the Royals always depend on that. Does that air of mystery need to extend still to Prince Harry and Meghan? And I mean, I feel like that is now gone in a sense.
And you know what? Screw it. Let it be gone because, they still have so much more mystery that we will never find out. Like, let's hear as much as we can while we can.
I love it. Are you gonna read or listen to the book?
I will say that I will, and let's see if I actually do.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's like I just feel like so much is online that you don't actually have to like buy the book. Like I'll be like, I read the book, and they'll be like, you never purchased it. I'm like, I don't know, but I definitely read it somehow. I know
all that stuff. I know all the stuff you're right. Like I'll TikTok the book, sure. Yeah. Do you believe in love, Kiki?
Yes.
Okay, well, I don't know if you will anymore after this story. Kylie Jenner and Travis Scott reportedly split again after spending holidays alone. And my question to you is that, did you know they were even back? I don't even care. Like, I don't know. I don't care. What did you need to put a statement out about this?
No. And, I don't tend to go into too many conspiracy theories, but when it comes to the Kardashian Jenners, I've decided that I'm leaning fully into conspiracies with them because stories like this come out when we're like, we didn't even know you if you were together or not together. We didn't care.
We weren't even asking. We weren't even asking.
Was not even on the thing. And we're like, so I'm like, what happened really that you're trying to distract us? Because they're always doing a look over here thing. And, you know, I don't know if you're on talk as much as I am.
Well, I got back on it like
Okay.
a couple, like it's been kind of severe from the holidays on. Like I had escaped it and I wasn't really doing any TikTok, but then the Idaho killer case drew me back in. And then I've become obsessed at night, like where I'm starting to fall asleep watching TikTok.
Yeah, it gets bad. I've definitely been like, let me watch a little talk before bed, and then the sun's coming up. It's been like that before.
It's really, it's scary.
It's scary. Yeah. But there was this rumor going around on TikTok, all alleged, about a newspaper publishing that Rob Kardashian allegedly had an overdose, but it was only in these overseas papers and we didn't see it here. But this also coincided with things that they were like, look over here in the US. And I was like, and then they were trying to show like that he was being active on his like Instagram, but like, you know, and so it was interesting because I was like, I dive into the conspiracies because I do think that Kris Jenner has a lot of power in what can be published about her family. And she does try to distract us a lot.
I will say this, and this is tragic news, actually, and I'm not making any jokes about this. Tristan Thompson lost his mother on Friday, and it was that wasn't interesting, but Lamar Odom's TMZ special came out on Monday on Fox, and I watched that, and I was struck by the part where he had went to the Bunny Ranch, had strokes and heart attacks, and Khloe rushed to be by his side, and then we get photos of, you know, them exiting a private jet, going to fly to be by his mother after she had passed, and Khloe is on that private jet, and there's pictures of them coming off the jet, and this is where the conspiracy stuff is like wild. I watched this lady's TikTok who did an amazing job saying like, listen, I don't like this conspiracy stuff either, but it's very interesting that their photo agencies were there to meet them on a private airfield, and they have this grainy photo, but they were like, look at this. And when you zoomed in on Khloe's, they had like really badly photoshopped half of her face. And it was like, you could see it immediately where you're like, oh, damn. Like whoever did that also tried to retouch the photos before they were released. And you could tell on Khloe particularly. And I was like, is there a chance Kris would be trying to make money or even get a message out there of sympathy on behalf of Tristan through photo agencies and stuff like that? And I guess just with the Kardashians, you have to say, you never know.
Yeah, absolutely. Like you don't ever know. And so, yeah, we'll never know. We'll never know.
Well, what is your thought? I mean, speaking of TikTok, Kim and North are very active on TikTok, and it is, it's getting disturbing in a couple instances. A lot of people find this cute. I found it very alarming of the Kanye cosplay where North is dressed up in like makeup with the beard and the outfits and lip syncing to his songs with Kim in the background. And then the one that came out yesterday or today has another little girl in it, like I think being Kim. And I'm like, what the hell? I know this is, listen, I don't want to overreact, but what are your thoughts when you see these?
So initially I was like, I thought it was like really cute that North was, you know, dressed up as Kanye. It was really cute. The only problem I had with it is Bound 2 is one of my favorite tracks of Kanye's. And like, I love that song, but I also remember the video and like, it's like literally naked Kim on top of Kanye. And that was the only thing that was weird. I was like, I don't know if that's the song I'd want to do with my daughter. But like you could do so many, but like it's the only one that Kim was obviously in the video, so it makes sense. So I mean, I did think it was cute, and I honestly looked at it as a mom. I guess I'm happy that she's still like putting her father in a good light, considering nobody else is putting him in a good light because he's not doing good things. At least for now, she can try to like make her daughter see the good side of her father. And so I guess I just looked at it as like at least a mother trying to just like keep it together the best she can, but it can't be easy.
But I also feel like there's a hidden message here too of like, don't like Kanye needs to take a second and a step back and there's a lot of pain he's caused with statements and of course that is their father and stuff, but don't normalize him to it. Like don't try to like normalize him to a, like, no, he still has things that I feel like, man, as one of the bigger Kanye West fans, like that was brutal and shocking. And I don't want to all of a sudden see a kid and be reminded of the good times.
It's true.
It's like,
we don't
out
need a
my cell
TikTok
phone
about
then.
him.
Like,
There's a
send
reason.
Send him that on text. Send him that on text.
There's a reason, he has a missing persons report, because I don't think he's really missing. He's just in hiding, but like, let him stay in hiding. And that can also be
that was the
hiding.
only thing. But I can't imagine, like, that's the other thing too, because if you think about it, I'm so like, oh man, how do you even handle any of this? How do you even handle this on top of being who you are, wanting this life, but at the same, where it's at now, it just doesn't seem aspirational at all.
No. And that's why I think they really have to, they're really having, I assume, crisis modes about their brand, because this is not, whatever they were doing doesn't sell now. And so they're really trying to scramble to figure out what sells. And, it was working with the whole Pete thing, they were to do a little revamp there with Kim, but that even went left because of Kanye. He
also made a misstep because of Balenciaga to close out the second season of the Kardashians with Kim's triumphant moment of walking for Balenciaga was the same week the Balenciaga scandal dropped. And that's just really, it's just really interesting to see how far they've come, but also how many more problems there are now. And is public interest waning? Are we going to see The Emperor Has No Clothes, or do they get past this bump? I mean, I think they'll always, with Chris at the helm, get past, but I'm just curious. It might be too big now.
Well, yeah. I mean, there's so many now. Think of the whole new generation that's created. There'll be a little bump, but now we have a whole new generation of Kardashian Jenners that's going to bring a whole new element to they'll triumph. They'll carry on in different ways.
Yeah, sure they will. So I think tonight, if my sources are correct, we're going to get the trailer for the 10th season of Vanderpump Rules. Are you excited for the 10th season? You've been to Schwartz and Sandy's. I was there one time with you when a cold open, and then I think you've been back another time on the open.
Yeah.
What do you think about the 10th season, what you've heard so far, and what do you think about Schwartz and Sandy's?
What I can say is, possibly I could have seen a trailer, possibly. And
you saw the trailer already?
Okay. I don't know. I don't know if I would say, but what I will say is, I think that people will be pleasantly surprised and shocked. I think VPR is going to have a revamp that people were not expecting. And I think it's going to be a good freaking season. I was like a
Vanderpump. I was trying to make it work. I trust you. So I'm so excited to hear that, because I had this night. This is so sad. I had a nightmare last night. It was about some other stuff, but then all of a sudden I was like, oh shit. It was all of a sudden Monday night, and they didn't drop the trailer. They dropped the whole first episode of the season. And I was like, oh, this isn't good. They just drop it without any promotion. And then I watched the first scene. I was like, okay, this is good. And then all of a sudden the show jumped 10 years. And all of a sudden it was like a space adventure. And I was like, whoa, they're really getting off track here. This is not good. And I was like, you know what? I kind of like it as a space adventure, but if you were to compare it to old Vanderpump, I all these thoughts. And I was like, holy shit, I'm having stress dreams if the 10th season of Vanderpump Rules is going to be good or not. Isn't that dark?
That's crazy.
One person that fails to leave, is Jax Taylor finally paid off his $1.7 million tax lien, according to Redditors. I was sent a bunch of Reddit information where they tracked this guy's payments down, but he mortgaged his home to pay off these. They found all of this information, and I'm just like, dude, I'm like, I can't be feeling bad for this guy, but part of me is like, damn, dude, you're paying at a high percentage rate. You're screwing yourself in the end. Just let him back on the show. But then I'm like, don't say that, Ryan. That's horrible.
I mean, look, he made great TV. I mean, I would watch. Every time Jax goes live, I watch, because he's entertaining. I don't know. I just like watching him.
His friends asked me to unblock him, and then we both followed each other. And then he I posted it was the 10th anniversary of Vanderpump Rules on Saturday, I believe.
Okay.
And I posted something about it, and he was like, good times. And so I pinned that thing, and then people started interacting with him. And of course he's like, you don't know me. Like he starts getting in.
Oh,
like,
he started fighting.
Well, he's done that a couple times now on my posts. And then also over the holidays, he just flat out ripped off one of my posts and took the picture off, but left the top about, I was like, oh, that period of time between New Year. And I had a Simon Cowell photo, and he took that off. He kept the thing. He kept the verbiage line. And then he put that on his Twitter and his Instagram, and he didn't even credit me. And I was like, bro, like, don't treat me like a sunglass hut in Hawaii, but I kind of felt bad for him. He's like, we're getting all this like Vanderpump is amazing. And then Dodie like said something on the post, and I was like, oh man, I don't want to know too much about any of these people, but I want to just see it on TV.
Yeah, I did want to see it on TV. And I wish, I will say, I do wish Kristen had stayed single for a little bit and had made an appearance in the season, because I would like to see Kristen, but she stays having boyfriends. So she's already in a new relationship. Like she stays.
Dude, she started that podcast. Supposedly they weren't together yet. And they don't even live in the same state. The podcast. Really? Oh, I'm like about to start listening to that podcast just because I'm like, now they're dating and they don't even live in the same state. So they did a pod. Like, I'm like, whose idea was it for the podcast? Was it because she wanted to get with him? So she's like, do you want to do a podcast? Like, I'm like, it's so wild.
Yeah.
What did you think of Schwartz and Sandy's being there 2 times? Do you like it?
I really think it's super cute. I love the vibe. And like, I thought it was super cute.
Yeah.
I haven't eaten like a full meal. I've eaten like, appetizers, but the drinks are good. The vibe is good. Yeah, it's cute.
Yeah, no, I liked it a lot too. So I'm excited to see that hopefully tonight. Speaking over at streaming, we have the renewal of Wednesday on Netflix for season 2. Did you watch season 1 of Wednesday?
Oh yeah, binged it. I think day 1.
Well, this was interesting because Amazon Prime was in the running to get season 2. They were going to take it away from Netflix, and Netflix re-upped. And so that's good news. I think Wednesday belongs on Netflix. And I thought that was a great series. Brad Pitt, this past week was on vacation with his new girlfriend, Ramon Ennis, I believe, who's 29 years old. He's in, what do you think about this new relationship, which I believe she used to date the guy from the Vampire Diaries?
Oh, was that who it was? I thought she was dating like a diplomat and like had
she might have a couple.
Yeah.
No, the diplomat was the Lenny's new girlfriend was dating a diplomat.
Okay.
Who knows, from Miami.
Got it. You're right. I'm getting them all confused. But yeah, I mean, I think it's, Brad and a new girl, 29, seems about Hollywood. They'll probably be together for a little bit and then they won't be.
What do you think about, were you relieved to know that Leonardo was on a yacht again with younger women a week ago? I felt very comforted by that.
I don't know if you saw the TikTok I put up of Leo in the club.
Vibing. You put that up? Yeah. He has like this weird hand over his head and he's like by himself and he has like an actual cigarette. Yeah. He's not vaping anymore. He's quit the vape.
Get that head, take the bread and leave. Like when he did his little he knows that song. He has his moves towards it. I don't know why it brought me so much joy. I've never thought about partying with Leo. I think mostly because I'm not 24 anymore, but like, in that moment, I was kind of like, oh, wait, I kind of want to party with Leo. I don't know.
Did you ever see that video of him dancing at Coachella?
No.
Like there's like a whole series. You should do a whole series on Leo dancing videos because he really seemed when he's on break, he really seems to, just be who he is, whether you like that or not, but I just think at a certain point, it's got to have been like, man, it's getting old, man. Like, or maybe like, it's like, it never gets old because it's so fabulous.
That's what I'm saying. I fully believe he's like, when people are like, when are you gonna let it go? He's like, I don't ever have to let it go because I'm enjoying my life. And that for that, I'm like, I give you props. If he never settles down and never gets married, never has a kid, I will give him mad respect because I'll be like, you lived your fucking life, dude.
Yeah, no, I think that's fun. Like we kind of place these, oh, that's really sad. But at the same time, like I haven't even paid a lot of my bills this month, like that's sad too. Like there's a lot of sadness. Like his sad is probably not that sad.
No, I just want people to I want us to normalize that. Like, again, you haven't seen Fleischman in Trouble yet. And I just finished it. I'm not giving anything away.
You loving
but
that.
Yeah. The Adam Brody character at one point, he just says like, I'm a real human just because I, haven't been married and have kids. I'm a real human. And that's how I feel sometimes. I'm like, don't discount me just because I didn't want to do those things. I want to do those other things.
It is weird about life though. It's like I used to be married and like getting to divorce, like that threw my life into a completely different track. And like I'm still in kind of like the netherworld where you feel like you're in between the, you're like, listen, I didn't plan for any of this. The way I thought my life was going, I was an actor that worked in an acting studio, married, and now I'm a podcaster that is not, like none of this. This is all new and weird. And it is interesting to watch all of your friends. If you're, all my Arizona friends, married, my friends out here all had kids during the pandemic. And it is very weird to feel like, I think that's kind of pop culture, is that life vest that you can put on to feel like you're normal or like to be like, well, this is mine. This is mine. This is stuff I love. So am I about to cry? What is going on?
It's okay. Let it all out. This is therapy. Dr. Kiki's here for you.
What else is going on? Any stories that you're paying attention to or for this next week?
I'm mostly just like kind of like getting back into trials. Like the Idaho stuff got me really intrigued, and now
Brian
I'm sort
Kohlberger, you guys, I was telling, that's why I'm on TikTok a lot, because I keep trying to, I'm just, what is it about true crime and what is it about these cases that like fascinated us? Because it really scares the shit out of me at the same time, but it fascinates me.
Well, me, I always come from a different angle. I always try to find an angle that nobody is talking about. So everybody was talking about the murders, and I was fascinated by the TikToker tarot card reader who was blaming the University of Idaho professor.
Yeah. Okay. Explain to people about that.
So this chick on TikTok who is a clairvoyant and read tarot cards basically had up this whole story about Kaylee's ex-boyfriend, Jack Takor, getting together with this University of Idaho professor, Rebecca Schofield, and plotting the murders. And Rebecca Schofield, she alleges, like, basically was the mastermind behind all of these murders, and she's responsible. And so she's made like over 100, maybe over 200 videos blaming this woman for the murders. And the woman had her lawyer send 2 cease and desist. She put him on TikToks, ignored him. And then she sued her for defamation. And so now there's a defamation case from the professor against this woman. And even after now Brian Kohlberger has been arrested, she is still blaming Rebecca Schofield. Like she is just digging in. I
figured she'd be like, well, I said it was somebody that worked for a college because he was a TA and a grad student. So I was like, oh, maybe, what is she saying now?
Oh, no, she said, if you have read the probable cause affidavit, as we all did.
Yeah, very much so.
I haven't read many, but it was a very detailed graphic. It gave so much, like understanding of why he was arrested. She was like, what's this? She's like, there's no information. I don't even know how they arrested him from this. This is conspiracy. Now she's saying that there was a conspiracy with the Moscow police department. So now I want the police department to now sue her because they're saying that there's corruption at Moscow and that's why he was arrested. It's so insane.
I love freedom of speech, but at the same time, I hate it sometimes. I'm like, we shouldn't all be allowed to say whatever we want. This is ridiculous because it's so hard to prove a case these days. And like, that's like, I was going on Twitter looking up the hashtags and people were like, well, this isn't a slam dunk case. I'm like, if this isn't a slam dunk case, I don't know what is a slam dunk case. OJ's over there going like, well, I think it's a slam dunk case. Like it's like the DNA sample is 99.8. And they're like, well, you can't prove the Idaho police didn't put that bead of blood on that sheath. I'm like, what the fuck happened to you that you would even say a statement like that? I get the police are not like, but come on, at a certain point, we do have to believe in the people working these things. And they're not all trying to like, just, I don't know.
And we also have to recognize that we only have seen the probable cause affidavit. This is not the only evidence they have.
And one page was completely redacted. And this was just a taste. This was like a amuse-bouche of the actual case that's going to be presented. But also I'm like, the dude's a criminology student. Like how eerie is that? The dude actually has, like, if you follow like his like whole, like he was a kid that lost 100 pounds his senior year. He was like a kid that didn't get a lot of female attention. He was a kid that was a heroin addict at one point. There was a kid like he really, and then fought his way back saying he wanted to go into crime to understand humanity and himself. I mean, these are all things. And if you like, listen, looks alone and like, listen, somebody said like, hey dude, you look a lot like that Idaho killer. I was like, fuck off. Like honestly, like, but also in certain pictures, he looks great. Like nobody has that like vacant stare and you can't go by looks, but at the same time, like, I don't know. It like, to me, I'm like, I don't know what a slam dunk case is if this isn't it. And that's what scares me because we just had Casey Anthony celebrated on NBC being able to like give a whole different timeline of events in a sense.
Slam dunk cases are hard because our system is set up to not put innocent people behind bars. So like the level of like what you have to prove in order to convict someone is a lot because they supposedly don't want to send innocent people to jail. I mean, they send innocent people to jail all the time, but like it's just if you have a good enough attorney, you can make enough arguments to get out of it because that's the way our system. We just don't want to make any mistakes.
Yeah, I know that's it. And that's the Idaho police, which are getting or the Moscow police, which are getting so much shit. They were purposely holding things back and they asked the public to be patient. But, nowadays we're like, no, we ain't patient. That's not our thing. We're going to go make videos about how you are bungling this case. The dad was out there hiring his own hiring his own team of detectives.
Yeah.
And I find that really interesting that they kept it close to the vest because they
Yeah.
didn't want to screw up or scare their suspect or, they wanted to get all their ducks in a row because they knew it's really hard to prove as a legal case and they wanted to try to make it as solid as possible. I mean, those pulling over on the interstate 2 times in 9 minutes, like that must have been. And then they supposedly have video of him putting out his parents' trash at like 5 a.m. with latex gloves on to the neighbor's trash bin.
Oh, wow. I didn't see that one.
Yes. But that's what scares me. Like I've seen it multiple times, but like, did somebody just make that up or is it true? Like that's also, your as we close up here, your YouTube is, which you can find on her Instagram, The Talk of Shame, right? At The Talk of Shame, which is also her YouTube. What is on the YouTube? What do you put up there? What is...
I really try to do like longer dives into like, I might do like a story where we get into like, oh, here's what Angelina and Brad, they have a lawsuit. But then on my YouTube, I'll bring out, my favorite defamation attorney, Kate Moss, who helped us do the, Johnny and Amber trial, go into the details. Here's the filing, like, what does this mean? And, and really break it down. So I like to do a lot of Judge Judy University on there. And just go into like more deeper, longer explanations of the things that I share in my
live on
stories.
YouTube as well, or do
I
you
haven't
just go
started
live
going
on
live on YouTube. I've only been going live every Friday on IG, but I'll start on YouTube soon.
I mean, literally, I've told you this so many, but insane talent. Like, I mean, like, it's like one of those people that I'm like, it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. And like, that is so cool. Thank you for starting our year off great by talking to you. You guys, you already follow her, I know, but go follow her on YouTube as well. Do you have a Patreon?
I don't have a Patreon, just the YouTube right now and just the
YouTube?
IG. Yeah.
Okay, well, go support her. We need more people like her, people that are actually not just making fart joke memes like myself, people that are actually getting you to learn and walking you through these complicated topics. So Kiki, Monique, at the talk of shame, that'll all be in, but her already. So anyways, thank you so much, Kiki.
Thank you.